Welcome to the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, where business owners, thought leaders, and community champions from across Central Illinois come to share their story. The Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. Anything less would be uncivilized.
What's up, Central Illinois? I am Derek Hayden. I'm here with Garrett Ulmer. We are your hosts for the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast, powered by Zambu. Zambu is a delicious grapefruit or wildberry vodka-based spirit infused with a Brazilian buzz button. It's smooth, tasty, and leaves you with a signature tingle. Learn more at zambuliquors.com. Zambu, taste the tingle. All right, Central Illinois, you're in for a treat today. Today's guest attended Ball State University, where she earned her bachelor's in communications and psychology. She also earned her MBA at Ball State University. She is a full marathon finisher. It's a lot further than I've ever run in my life. She is the founder of Simply Integrated LLC and also the founder of Founding Females. Ladies and gents of Central Illinois, please welcome Francie Hinrichsen. How are you doing, Francie?
I'm good. You're good at that.
Well, thank you. I've practiced a few times, so I've gotten better. The first few times were rough when we started the podcast, but yeah. Well, Francie, you have a pretty impressive resume right there, and I know Garrett and I are pretty excited to get to know you a little more and share your story with Central Illinois. But before that, I'm going to kick it to Garrett, and we're going to get to know you a little more through our speed round questions.
Yeah, for sure. We got to give Derek a second to catch his breath anyway.
Yeah,
you being
exactly.
a marathon runner, he's out of breath just saying
Got to sip my coffee.
So we've got to give him a minute to catch up. So we're gonna go ahead with our speed round. We've got 6 questions. We say 60 seconds. It just depends on how it flows, but answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. All right. The first concert you ever attended?
John Cougar Mellencamp.
All right. That's a
Very
first.
nice.
That's a first. Favorite movie?
Well, I'm a mom of a spicy 3-year-old right now. So it's a big toss up between Monsters, Inc. and Raya. Those are the 2 I vote for every weekend.
Okay. Gotcha. Yep. Monsters, Inc. was played at our house many, many times over the years. Great movie. Yep. Favorite ice cream flavor?
So Target has this Moose Tracks without peanuts. And I don't know if it's their off brand or what it is. It's so good.
Gotcha.
So good.
iPhone or Android?
Definitely iPhone. Since 2010, it's I feel handcuffed.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's people joke it's like a cult following, but it's like I don't know how I could switch at this point now in my life. It's so easy, user friendly. Everything I have is based around it. Just it's so easy and be hard to walk away from. So, Favorite social media platform?
Do I have to pick one? No, I think Instagram.
Okay. And last but not least, why Central Illinois?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's an important question. I married my husband on the condition that we would move back to my hometown of Westfield, Indiana. Almost wrote it into our vows. Glad I didn't, because then we have planted roots here in Central Illinois, and really, our support system is spread out as far as family goes, but our friend group here is just top notch, unprecedented. And I'm so thankful that we have a group of just good people to link arms with. So it's gotta be, and my husband's family's here. So that's fantastic. That's the cherry.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's probably helpful with the 3-year-old.
Yes.
That you have. So yeah, that's a good explanation though. It's funny that you, how things work out after promises have maybe been given, then you end up doing something completely different. So.
Oh yeah. And people pull at your heart, right? Like once you develop those relationships where somebody shows up on your doorstep with food when you're sick or, rally around you.
Yep.
Thanks for some strong roots.
That's right. Cool. For sure.
Very cool. Well, Francie, so we talked about it in your intro, founder of Simply Integrated LLC and also Founding Females. If you could, for our listeners, tell us about, I guess, where you came from, how you created the businesses, how you fell into those businesses, and, where those businesses are at now?
Yeah, good question. So when I graduated, I had my sights set on opening up a high-end day spa. Loved the work and the experience that I had. And I always say God had different plans because I had to hard pivot. I went and got experience in that industry, what it would be like to manage something like that, and realized it really wasn't for me. So I had to make my own way. I remember asking my dad when I was little, what would we do if you didn't, have your job? And he said, we would just open up a taco stand. Like it was nothing, like that's just what we do. We would make our own way. So really that was ingrained in me from the beginning. And so I ended up pivoting and starting my own business. And over the course of 7 years, this business that evolved into marketing, data analytics, website audits, looking at the back end and telling the story of where businesses are leaving money on the table with their website. And the beautiful thing is we don't have to guess, we can just look at the data. So that is Simply Integrated. And I have one foot in that, love like no red tape. I get to make the decisions. I get to make the impact I want. And as I was developing this business, I was going out and being in community with other entrepreneurs and found a core group of females who also wanted to make their own way. They also had this business idea and this opportunity at their fingertips to impact people. And so started kind of saying, come along with me. Let me show you what worked for me. Let me connect you with people who have been, integral in my experience. And that is how Founding Females came about. So very much one foot in Simply Integrated, very much one foot in Founding Females. And there we get to make an impact on women to help them create businesses where they can become financially independent, where they can, walk in their purpose, where they can impact the world the way that they want to.
Awesome. So now with Founding Females, I may have the dates wrong, but it looks like you just had a pretty big and important event that you kind of spearheaded. Tell us a little bit about that event and what happened, how many attendees you got and what the focus of that event was.
Yeah, thank you. So we are currently, with this date being recorded, we are in Women's History Month. And I think the 7th or 8th, I can't remember quite exactly, but International Women's Day. We actually get our own day, right? And so we scheduled our event for the Saturday just before International Women's Day very intentionally, to bring women together, to bring them out of their homes and in community to link arms with one another in one room. And so this was a conference or an empowerment event where we had speakers, we had vendors, we had breakout mastermind sessions, we had mentoring sessions. SCORE Peoria, which is an organization that provides free business mentoring, came into the event and had 15-minute mini mentoring sessions with women to just say, where am I? Like, what's the next step? What does the road ahead look like? And so this really was a jumping off point for a lot of women to either start their business or continue to improve their business. And, if you call it a networking event, nobody shows up. But if you tell them that you're going to learn and evolve and grow and give them the opportunity to do that, those connections are so powerful. So especially after the pandemic, where nobody was getting out and connecting, we really wanted an in-person event. We did that at Lofty Spaces and Events in downtown Peoria. The space was perfect. The vibe was just brilliant, just perfect. I mean, these women brought their A game to just love hard on each other, and really grateful for the opportunity. It was our first annual event and definitely already planning for next year.
Cool. Very cool. What were some of the topics within that event? I know, so I'm thinking of my wife right now. I like what you're saying is like, I feel like my wife would really enjoy this. She just started her own clothing,
Nice.
Not business. But she sells athletic clothing. Just started last year. What's that?
I said, nice. That's awesome.
Yes. So she has done very well, and she's at the point where she's like, do I grow it? What do I do now? She's at a point where she still has a full-time job, And she's like, okay, I don't know. Should I keep growing and keep a full-time job? Should I focus on this or that, or just let it ride the way it is? And I feel like she leans on other women that are in her same, industry to be a guide. And I feel like that what you're talking about is very, very unique and very needed. So just tell us a little bit about some of the topics that were discussed in that event and what maybe you learned from it.
Yeah, let me preface that with our 3 goals. So 3 goals: inclusion. Doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, what your religion, sexual orientation, race, industry. Come pull up a seat at our table. You are welcome here. So inclusion is our first goal. Second goal is to rewrite the playbook so that women can build a business around their life and not a life around their business. Because what's happening is we're going out and we're following a set of rules that don't work for us. I'm a mom. I want to be a mom. I don't want to ignore that piece of me. So the second goal is to rewrite the playbook. And then the third goal is to help women become financially independent if they want to, right? So some of these topics, we had Sarah Skalowski speak about her business, and she has been able to work herself out of a position in her coffee business, so much so that she was able to start a second career. It's really hard for women to kind of grasp that concept of building a business that doesn't sit on my shoulders or rely on my 24 hours in the day. And so I wanted her to come and be an example of what that looks like. Our second speaker was Leanne Stickle, and she talked about mental strength, especially after the pandemic, where we just feel like, we've just put through the ringer. How do you have a mindset that helps you weather any storm, really? And she spoke about just some incredible mental tools. For example, don't give up what you want most for what you want right now. Was one of the key takeaways there. And then we had a panel of experts. So I always recommend new business owners surround themselves with this team of advisors who can point them in the right direction in their area of expertise. So that panel consisted of a banker, insurance person, marketing person, brand designer, a mentor, attorney. So these are people who you don't hire them, but you don't hire them as an employee, right? But you build a relationship with them so that you can go to them and say, hey, I'm in this sticky situation. What do I do? We always suggest doing that upfront in your business so that the relationship is already created by the time you need someone. And so that panel was asked questions about what their experience looked like and things like that, really just to plant the seed that there are people who you can tap into. You don't have to throw everything on your back. You don't have to learn it all yourself. And I think those were the biggest takeaways. And then really the other last thing is peer support, right? Like leaning into people. We all have experiences and knowledge to share. So let's open up the dialogue and share challenges with one another so that we can help clear the path ahead for one another.
Cool.
Very
nice.
nice.
For all the viewers and listeners, women in the area, if I wanted to, or somebody wanted to become part of your group to get to know you and kind of connect, what's the best way? How do you reach out? How do they connect you to become part of your group?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So I think of Founding Females like an ecosystem of support. So if you jump on our Instagram, there's going to be value there that you can, look for little snippets of, it's tax season. Here are the things that you should be thinking about, or inspiring quote that, gets you moving in the morning. So anytime you step into our ecosystem, I want you to feel empowered. I want you to feel inspired. I want you to take something away. So if somebody wants to reach out, they can email me, they can jump on our Instagram, they can send me a Facebook message. I want to be available to point them in the right direction. But then the resources that we have available, we have 2 communities. One we call a startup community, which is launching next week. And that is for women who are just new to business. They're in business for the first year, or they're considering starting a business. We want to match peers up with peers. And then the second community that we have is the mastermind. So this is for women who are through proof of concept. They have regular recurring revenue, recurring customers, and they're just asking different questions. And so we want to match those peers up with peers. Somebody in the startup community could, quote unquote, graduate and jump into the mastermind community. But really, we want to keep those separate, because it's not helpful to have I call her DIY Dolly, a Dolly comparing herself to somebody who's through proof of concept, because it's really hard in the beginning, right? Like I call it the before it works stage, where you do whatever you need to, as long as it aligns with your moral compass, to get that business going. And so we are going to pour into those two communities a little bit differently. So we have those. And then also launching a book, April 1st, it will become available. Oh. And that is a 6-step process for women to start their business. So it takes them through clarifying their business idea. What are you doing and why? Takes them through research, building their business, the infrastructure, launching their business, and then profiting and scaling. And the idea at the end of the book is to create an asset, not a paycheck, so that this business has inherent value. You could essentially hand it off to someone else to continue running with and impacting people the way you intended.
That's awesome. So basically you've sounds like you've built yourself in the program to be a resource to women who are looking to grow their business, grow their life, to write a book. First off, I think we need to have you back, because I want to learn how you wrote a book and like get it published and all that stuff. Where can people find it on April 1st? Where can they go to buy your book?
So it's on Amazon. It's available for pre-sale also on Walmart.com. And it's also available on BarnesandNoble.com and Target soon, but not quite yet.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yep. We're going to have another episode, because I want to learn how you did that. And I think that'd be a cool thing for people to hear too. So
well, it's something I feel like Derek and I've talked about for a year or two of, some of the things that we specialize in. It, I feel like it hits at home if you can say, well, here, this article was in our book, And,
Do
that
it.
would be cool.
Do it. And I would love to tell you about the speed bumps I hit so that you do not have to face them yourself.
That would be greatly appreciated. Yeah. We'll plan a follow-up episode to this about writing your own book. That'd be really cool. The other thing, speaking of resources, so I'm perusing the foundingfemalesco.com website, and I see that you have resources and some business downloads, and it looks like these are free. And you're probably going to notice my name on your email list now, because I signed up. So tell us about some of these business resources that are free on the website and what those are geared towards and how people can use them to help build their business.
Right. So I have this really unique skill set of marketing, understanding marketing. That's a mystical type of business concept to a lot of people. If it works, they don't know why. If it doesn't work, they don't know why. So one of our resources on there is how to market your business aside from social media. And my marketing brain, if I can put that on for a second, social media should be one piece of the pie among a lot of different marketing channels. We want to create repeat touch points. We know that people aren't going to buy the first time. So if we approach them with the message of buy my stuff, it doesn't work that way, right? People have to go through a psychological process of coming to know, like, and trust you before they will buy. So one of the things I wanted to demystify for people was, how do you do that? If I'm not going to lean on social media because I don't own that platform, I have very little control over that platform, how else can I take control of marketing to people? And so as you'll see, you can download that resource, but then I have the opportunity to remarket to you because I know you're already interested. So I'm kind of using that marketing strategy in order to get those resources in your hands, so to speak. So that marketing is one of those. I pared down my list. So pardon me, I'm going to pull them up really quickly. Okay. So my old website had about 30 resources on it, and I pared it down to the ones that I felt were most important for people. So 25 ways to market your business aside from social media is one of those. And 33 keys to business success. So this actually came from a conference that I went to out in California. And I went to a Kajabi. It was called the Impact Summit. So Kajabi is an online platform where you can put your courses and your community and your website. And they put on this incredible conference with influencers, names that you would recognize. Neil Patel is my favorite. The reason why I went out there, he's an SEO geek. Shalene Johnson, Amy Porterfield. And so I created this 33 keys to business success based on what I learned from all of those really successful business people out in California. The guide to elevate and monitor your online presence. So how do you know what's being said about you online, right? Like, how do you want it to be positive, but how do you make sure that that's the case? So this guide is going to help you put some resources, put some things into play so that you can monitor what's being said about you and then how to manage that. So let's say you get a not so good review. Then what do? Do you just let it go? Do you pretend like it didn't happen? That guide helps business owners to navigate that space. And then the best on-page SEO tips. We know that there's over 200 components of the Google algorithm. We don't know what all of them are. Google doesn't release it, but we have a pretty good idea. And so we think about SEO as driving organic traffic to your website. And how do we intentionally create a website that does that? And that guide will help business owners to know what really matters.
Very cool.
Now, do you build websites as well?
I build on Squarespace.
Okay. Gotcha.
Very cool. Yeah. Kajabi. I've actually started learning a little bit about that because I'm interested in learning, what people are doing to sell. I mean, basically share their knowledge online, and Kajabi, and I think there's Thinkific, and there's several that are like that it's interesting what people can do now to share what they know with the world and monetize it. There's so many opportunities for people to, everybody has something that they do that's unique, and having the ability to, to share that with the world and potentially monetize it. Obviously, like you said, you have a unique set of skills that you're utilizing, to help women start, build, create their business. It's just cool to see. If you want to do it, you can do it. There's no, I hate to say there's no barrier to entry, but you can start from zero and do what you want to do.
You know what? I was just about to say that the barriers to entry have never been lower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All of the tools, resources, knowledge is at your fingertips. And if you want to start a business in a weekend, how empowering. I mean, that just gives me goosebumps to think about taking your life into your control and saying, okay, I don't want to work a 9-to-5 forever. What am I going to do? What's my strategy? It could be real estate. It could be sharing your knowledge of, I don't know, raising llamas, whatever. There is a market for it. If you can think about it, there is a market for it. You can transfer that knowledge, and then to think about how this knowledge sharing is going to impact our generation and our kids' generation and generations to come, that this information is right at your fingertips. I think it's incredible.
No, I agree. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're willing to just kind of put on some type of a social media hat and just start to dabble, create some sort of algorithm, whether it's through Instagram, Facebook. We've dabbled a little bit in TikTok. We feel like TikTok is coming on next, and coming on strong. It's amazing with just what you search, what you post, how things are connected to you. And it's like, I can't believe that's showing up now. And it was just based off of one simple search or what you're talking about in your phone. Here's you say it, and it can pick up different things. So today's power of outreach is amazing.
Can I tell you 2 secrets?
Please.
So I wrote this book. We just talked about it. It's 300 some pages long. And I'm going to give a spoiler. That there are 2 things.
We love spoilers.
There are 2 things that business owners need that I cannot teach in 300 pages. And that is the willingness to take one step forward, even when you don't quite know what that looks like, right? You have to be willing to feel confused and to feel out of control and to feel vulnerable and go out and just whatever, like do a Google search and pick up the first, blog post you find. Just whatever it is, you have to be willing to take that step forward. And then you have to be willing to build relationships, first of all. But there is magic in in-person relationships, going and shaking hands and looking people in the eye and having coffee. Those are two things I cannot teach people how to do. They have to be willing to do them on their own. I can teach the other steps, but those are really, really important. If there's anybody out there thinking about starting a business, there's no magic key except for going out and doing it.
Yep. Agreed.
I agree. Yeah, and Garrett and I are in an industry where, again, business owners are who we typically try to work with. And man, when the pandemic hit, Garrett and I are really good in front of people. It's like, Dumb and Dumber. It's hard not to smile when you're talking to us because we kind of feed off of each other. And that's what we do best is when we're in person and listening and interacting. And man, when the pandemic hit, it was like, now what do we do? Social media is great. We do a ton of social media. We do a ton of video for our target markets that we go after, but it's just not as powerful as being in front of somebody. Luckily the pandemic is hopefully, people are allowing us into their offices and we can talk back in person again. So that's where we feel like we're back at home, but man, you're completely right, Francie. There's not much better than actually going out, building relationships and helping people and getting to know them. And
asking, what can I do for you? How can I be in your corner? Who can I connect you with? What resource can I send you before you ask for anything in return?
Yep.
Exactly.
Nope,
yep.
100%.
Yeah, it's funny you say that too, because it was just yesterday. Garrett and I were talking with another person in our industry, in our own agency. And we're like, I hate to say it, but people don't care about you until you learn from them. You have to care about them more than you care about your own product or service. And, that's the way you've got to look at it. Is you cannot, everybody is excited about their own business, their own service. They've built, what they have from the ground up, and we can do this, and this. Most people don't care until you show them value and you show them trust and listen to them first. Make them the primary, the focus of the conversation.
But I'll add to that. But when you do, you have nearly no competition.
Right.
Because people see that you care and you have heart, and they want to work with people who care, who see them as an individual or see why their work matters. And when they feel that from you, it's powerful.
No,
I agree.
I think you said it earlier. They got to know you, they got to like you, and they got to trust you. And you've only got a very, very short window to accomplish that. A lot of people, we talk about it all the time in our industry, can walk in and say, I'm going to save you money. I'm going to save you money. I'm going to save you money. And then they don't even show them how they have the opportunity to do that. It's just expected that they think that that's going to win. And that's the old way to do business. It doesn't work anymore, So.
Relationships. That's where it's
Yep.
at.
100%.
100%. So Francie, it's crazy. We've already been talking for close to a half hour, but I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about. Is there anything in particular? We've highlighted founding females quite a bit. Is there anything on the horizon other than your book, April 1st? And it sounds like maybe some mastermind groups. Anything else that you want to highlight about founding females?
I want to encourage people, not just women, but people, to build the life that they want and figure out how the revenue streams can fit into that or can even propel that, right? So for me, it is about freedom. How can I use my time the way I want to? How can I use my money the way I want to vote about how the world will work? And that's what's most exciting to me in entrepreneurship, is that I get to go put my money where my mouth is and create the world that I want to wake up to, the world that I want for my daughter. So, if I had to say one thing, it is about the money to the extent that it gives me the freedom to wake up and impact people and impact the world the way I want to. And I really think if we shift our mindset to what do the people want? What impacts the people? How can I make this world a better place? The money will come. And it's such an awesome opportunity to open my mouth, to vote for inclusivity, to vote for women doing things a little bit differently than maybe what is the traditional norm in business, and that being okay. And then to also vote for women to know that you can retire your husband, or you could retire yourself early with these opportunities at your fingertips. So that would be my one ad there.
Great. That's awesome. Well, if you've followed the show at all, we like to do short clips, kind of previews and excerpts of each of our interviews. What we'll do, Francie, is we'll attach some of your material to those clips so people can just get a quick click and see your resources, see Founding Females. And we'll try to promote as much as we can to the women of Central Illinois to get a piece of what you're doing, because what you're doing is awesome. And I love to see it. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your followers. And I hope that you continue to break through barriers and write more books and do more cool things like that. And like I said, I really would like to hear more about how you're doing some of these things if you're willing to join us in the future again. So
yeah, I would love to join you in the future. And however I can help you spread the message, I appreciate that you are giving people a platform to stand on, a megaphone. And whatever I can do to help you, I'd love to do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. So you've mentioned it a handful of times, but one last time, how can people reach out to you? Where can they find you? Tell us about all your websites, your email, phone number, if you want to give it, and your social media handles. Feel free to take the floor with that.
All of that is available at foundingfemalesco.com. So access to the communities, reaching out to me, our downloadable resources that you mentioned, I would say that's the best place to go. And then I camp out on Instagram quite a bit at foundingfemalesco.com as well.
Very nice.
Great.
Awesome. So all you listeners out there, while you are listening, make sure you're subscribing to the CIBL podcast on whatever platform you consume podcasts on. Also, while you're there, take 5 or 6 seconds and leave us a review. We'd greatly appreciate it. You can follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. And of course, you can engage with our guests there as well. Until next time, Francie, you have officially been civilized. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yep. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Central Illinois Business Leaders Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/CIBL Podcast. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. It's the civilized thing to do.